Hey, hey, Selma community. Welcome to another episode of Talk Soup. I'm Dr. Avis Williams, the proud superintendent of Selma City Schools. And I've got C-Dub or Courtney Washington here with me. Hi, Courtney, how
Well,
are you?
hey Doc, I'm doing great. Hi, Team Selma. Welcome to Talk Soup.
Yes, 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 yes. And so we've got two amazing guests with us today, and we're going to talk about restoration. And you may have seen some information on our social media or on our website about the Summer of Restoration and the work that Selma City Schools has been doing around social justice, around looking at restorative practices and what that means in terms of healing within our community. And so we've got the experts, the gurus, right here with us. We've got Lydia Chapman and Ainka Jackson. And wow.
Welcome to Talk Soup, ladies. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. And so now you guys both are with the Selma Center for Nonviolence, and Ainka, you are the executive director. Can you I'm going to give you both an opportunity to just go ahead and introduce yourselves and just tell a little bit about what you do in your current role. And then we're going to dive into some questions about what that means, not only for Selma City Schools, but also for our larger community. Okay, so Ainka, tell us about you.
Hi, everybody. So I'll tell you a little bit about the center. We were founded to address violence in all its forms, whether it be racial violence, physical violence, or economic violence. We often don't think of poverty as being a form of violence, but we believe that anything that dehumanizes other people is a form of violence. And in fact, DOJ's statistics show, the Department of Justice statistics show, that so much about where violence happens is not about rural or urban. It's not about black and white. We often think about like black on black crime. People do crime with who they live around, right? But it's really about poverty. And so if we want to deal with violence in our community, we have to deal with poverty. And so we believe that broken relationships have led to broken economies, leading to broken communities, all in need of healing. And so we seek to partner with communities to heal relationships, to heal the economy, and to heal communities. We do that in a variety of ways. And a large part of that comes through our TRHT work, Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. And with that, I will take it to Lydia to talk more about that.
All right, awesome.
Thank you again for the opportunity to share. My name is Lydia Chapman, and I currently serve as the co-director for TRHT Selma. TRHT stands for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. And we are an initiative made true by a very awesome partnership between two great organizations, the Black Belt Community Foundation and the Selma Center for Nonviolence. So we are super excited about all of the things that we've been able to accomplish over the past few years, thanks to the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. And we will continue the work, thanks to the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, in making sure that we are able to provide that healing that Ainka was just talking about, to make sure that we give space for it. Because so often we have all of these other things that we wear on our shoulders and that we have running around in our mind that we just need to even just have the space to relate to one another and to learn, share, and grow together. So
I love it. And I appreciate you clarifying the relationship because, I think that within our community, we have some amazing organizations doing fantastic work, but oftentimes people don't know how they are connected and the partnerships that we have within those organizations. So I appreciate you clarifying that. So what would you say are the priorities of the work that's been happening with TRHT as well as the Selma Center for Nonviolence right now in this current space? Because Selma is going through some stuff right now. And, it's been a tumultuous time for all of us. The pandemic has been hard for everybody. And then when you add to that the other community trauma that we have experienced, what are the priorities of your organizations in this current space that we're operating within?
Well, I think that, you know, the overall theme of our priorities, as stated before, those three things, right? And our board chair and one of our co-founders, Dr. Lafayette, who was a leader in the Nashville sit-ins, the Freedom Rides, the Selma movement, and who Dr. King appointed to be over the Poor People's Campaign, Bernard Lafayette said, you know, there was unfinished business of the civil rights movement, and we needed a Selma 2. So we say Selma 2.0, finishing the unfinished business of bridging divides and building the beloved community. So we are trying to bridge divides, and whether that is economic divides or racial divides or religious divides, whatever the divisions that keep us fighting, right? Whether that's because I live over here and you live over there, whether that's because I wear this color, I'm a Delta, you are not. Whatever the divides
and it's sad that they're not, but go on.
I know, right? Whatever those divides are.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. To bridge those divides and build the beloved community, right? Yeah. The beloved community is this place where it's a reconciled world where justice prevails and we all can reach our full human potential. And so one of the main ways we're working to do that right now is with the restorative justice work. And we were in R.B. Hudson really, really strong before the pandemic started. So much that culture started shifting where our young people were starting before stuff happened, would come and say, this is happening on social media. We need a circle before something breaks out, right? And so I really hate that the pandemic really interrupted so much of that. But we're back at it again. And I'll say this, and Lydia can continue, but restorative justice at its core is about figuring out what we have in common. Again, bridging those divides, what we have in common, whether that's values, what values we have in common, and figuring out how to use those values to get what we need. So what do I need as the person who may have offended you? What do you need as the person who may have been offended or harmed? And when someone is harmed, it's not just that person, it's the whole community, right? And so what does the community need to be whole again, right? And so restorative justice says, how can we use our values? How can we use what we have in common to get what we need and create a plan and follow through on that? And that's what restorative justice is. And Lydia has been going strong the last couple of weeks to make sure that we could reach as many people as possible doing that work.
Yeah, and Lydia, you and I were, and Ayinka was there too, but we had a circle within the community on Friday of last week, and there have been several others. So how is that going? And what can you share with us about the work that's been done right now in terms of that?
It's going really, really well. We are so delighted to have Talking Peace. Mr. Eric Butler is once again in Selma. We are encouraging him to move to Selma because his energy is needed, right? So oftentimes we need somebody from the outside, right? To see things from a different perspective and nurture us through our conversations. So we're super excited to have him in town. Over the past 2 weeks, he's been working at Selma High with our summer learning students. So that's been an awesome opportunity to reach out to families from the youth, but then also with adults. So the community circles have been taking place. We've had circles geared towards men. We've had circles geared towards academic instructors. And so we are super excited to announce that tomorrow we will have our last. Now, we're not excited that it's the last one for his time here with us, but we're glad that Pastor Grayson has extended the offers for us to hold one more community circle, 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at Gospel Tabernacle Church. We're very, very excited for that because we've been able to galvanize a large collective of folks who are interested in learning more about restorative justice, learning more about the circle process, which is so important. Again, nurturing those relationships, making sure that we give people space, right, to communicate, learn more about one another, and then be able to bridge those divides. So TRHT, look, truth, racial healing, and transformation. The goals of circles are to transform the relationships between those folks in those circles. So we have had an awesome time over the past 2 weeks, and we look forward to continuing the effort in the community. So if you're interested, y'all reach out to us. I have to do shameless plugs. Listen, I have no problem with it. Reach out to us at the Selma Center for Nonviolence. You can contact the Black Belt Community Foundation, and just reach out, and we will definitely follow up with you. It's our pleasure to be of service to the community.
I love it.
Me too.
And so, and I know Courtney, you're a native of Selma, and I know you see Selma now, and we're into our 201st birthday.
Wow.
And you know, our theme for that birthday celebration is my Selma, your Selma, our Selma. And I do believe that the work that you all are doing can be so instrumental in this. And you know, and Courtney, being a native of Selma and seeing where we are now, I mean, I'm quite sure you've got to have an opinion about where this is going and the importance of this work.
Yes, it's needed. It's a start to the transformation that I think is taking place throughout Selma. It'll be slow, but participating in the circles is one thing, but then actually seeing it. Today, I was able to step in for a few with some of the scholars at the Excel, and I was excited, intrigued, and I felt something inside about how in tune they were with it. And I came in to get some pictures, but I also had to realize my role with the school district. So I didn't want to impede them still sharing out, but the fact that they were still responsive to the prompts, I see it already. And I see the impact that it can have, and it has been having since we started it with our Hudson scholars. So it's needed. It's impactful. It does transform you, even if you're participating or watching. You see it, and you want to do more. You want to participate more. You want to find out more ways to support, as well as to be transformed yourself, because that aspect of you first in order to be transformed. And so, yeah, I, as a Selma native and as an individual that wants change, it's needed. It's working, and I encourage everyone to participate, especially as we share out more information through our Safe Community Alliance and through the Summer of Restoration. Please, please, please participate. It is wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the Safe Community Alliance because Lydia and Ainka have both been instrumental in our partnership with the City of Selma, with Dallas County Schools, and really looking at how do we move forward? You know, how do we address community trauma and the challenges within our community, and how do we do it together? And we're going to resume those weekly meetings of that leadership team and have other opportunities for the community to participate and to give feedback as it relates to contributing to our Safe Community Alliance. And I definitely think that work is much needed. And as we think about that, I do have another question about just the shifting the narrative. There's a lot of negativity out there right now, and sometimes we are our own worst enemies. And I really hate that about some of what I see being pushed out. You know, when we think about Selma being listed as the fastest shrinking city in the state, and you know, for years we've been at the top of the list as it relates to violence, and then when you go to social media, you see so much negativity being pushed out. How do we begin to shift the narrative to not only address community violence, but also looking at the idea of the community trauma that's happening within Selma? How do we begin to shift that narrative? And maybe social media can be a part of that too, and just used in a different way. What do you guys think?
Dr. Williams, I really think that you're onto something when you said the use of social media to shift and change that story. There's I don't know, it's not an old wives' tale. There's a story about I think it comes from the Native American culture that talks about the wolf and what you feed, right? If we continue to feed the wolf of negativity, that wolf will grow to become something that is uncontrollable, which is what to me you're describing in this moment. That we have that we actually have an escalating situation where people, adults, have opted to be Facebook bullies, if you will, going live or expressing themselves, in written word on Facebook. But then not seeing, connecting that dot between our behavior as adults and what our young people are doing. It's starting on Snap for them, on Snapchat, but then it's escalating to the street, right? And so we see the physical violence that is reflective of the verbal violence, if you will, or the written violence that we are expressing as adults. And one of the greatest things, I think, in response to your question, that we can do to change the narrative in this community and across this country is to truly incorporate the question of questioning of one another, to say, I wonder why that person is behaving that way. This is something I've learned from my dear friend. Like, think about the wonder why, right? As opposed to jumping to conclusions, thinking about what experiences that person has had that may be leading to the type of response.
Or they're hurt because it's coming from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that gets us to what do they need, right? Right. When you begin to wonder why, it gets to, well, what do they need? Because usually what we do, we want to punish people, right? We want to ban them from social media, or we want to ban them from school, or we want to ban them from this, right? Versus saying, like, this is a cry out. What are they trying to communicate in crying out? Right? In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it calls it what is it?
Understand.
Empathetic listening.
Before being understood.
Right.
First,
to be understood.
Yes.
Right. So we got to start there, because when people are in pain, I don't want to hear what you have to say if you're not at least acknowledging my pain first, right? And so we have to learn to community as a community to first, to know our babies are, and even our adults are crying out and trying to understand what they are crying out. And that doesn't mean that there are not consequences. There are always going to be consequences. There are natural consequences to our behavior, right? But trying to deal with the root cause of issues. That's what we do in nonviolence, get to the root cause of issues so we can actually stop the issue. One of the things that I want to say in addition to that is that you probably heard the scripture, without a vision, the people perish. Well, there's another version of that says, without a vision, people cast off all restraint. And so when I heard it like that, I realized why so many people were casting off all restraint. People don't have anything to lose. And when you don't feel like you have anything to lose, what is there to lose, right? All I got is what I feel like is respect. All I got is these things, these feelings and thoughts. And so we got to deal with some real material conditions, right? In our work, we think of our theory of change, which is basically how we think change happens, right? We believe transformation happens by some heart and mind work and some material conditions work, that it takes both, that one without the other does not work, right? You change the law, but people's heart and mind still bad. You just keep changing laws, right? But if you change people's heart and minds, but my reality ain't changed, that's not helpful either. So it really takes both things, right? And so people are suffering in Selma and have been, right, for a long, long time. You talked about the bicentennial, right? People have been suffering for centuries, right? And we carry that trauma in our bodies, and we act it out many times, not even consciously. And so we have to do the healing work while we are also doing the material conditions work to make sure that people are getting, they're educated where they can get good jobs, where there are good jobs that pay great wages, that my passion, I can get paid for it, right? That whatever that is can be nurtured within me. And so we have to do both sides of that work. And that's part of what we are partnered with, right? Because our first line of our mission at the Selma Center for Nonviolence is to partner with institutions, because we know we can't do it alone. But we recognize that it takes all of that really for transformation to come. And ultimately, restorative justice is about getting people what they need. And people need both of those things.
Yeah.
We need the healing work, and we need like some hard, cold, like cash and not just money, right? Like purpose, all of that stuff. So it's all
changes that includes policies and laws.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of policies and laws, you know, recently in our state legislature, teaching yoga was approved. And I had a great conversation with Representative Gray, Jeremy Gray, who wrote the bill. And Aika, we had a conversation recently about the physical aspects that trauma has on the body. And so I'm excited to explore how we can incorporate things like yoga and really looking at mindfulness and really looking at what safety and wellness looks like in our district. Team Selma is in the process of relaunching our strategic plan. And one thing that I'm excited about is adding an area. We have 4 areas now: teaching and learning, culture, climate and community, leadership and governance, and facilities and technology. And we are adding safety and wellness. And part of that is looking at emotional safety, you know, not just physical safety, although that's extremely important, but emotional safety and wellness from a holistic standpoint, which includes the physical as well as the health piece, looking at self-care, looking at community trauma and the role that families can play and what that looks like in our schools. And I'm excited about even exploring how teaching yoga and mindfulness can fit in that. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, that physical response and how important it is that we address that as well?
It is so, so crucial. And I know that, you know, we live in the Bible Belt, and so people have been resistant to it because they think that this is somehow not Christ-like, right? But it is very biblical to meditate. It talks about meditation all throughout the Bible. And I know this isn't about the Bible, but I just don't want people to turn something off before they give it a chance. Because it is key to our healing, y'all. When I went to the Holy Land a couple of years ago, for the first time, I could hear my own thoughts. I didn't have all these distractions, and I heard how judgmental and self-righteous I was. And I realized that me in a different context, different upbringing, different conflicts, I would do the same things that everybody else does, right? And so I took from that experience, let there be peace and let it begin with me. But that started with meditation, right? That started with mindfulness. And so we have to make space for that. There's been studies across the country that showed schools where there was mindfulness taught and practiced had dramatic decreases in misbehavior and increases in academics achievement, right? Because when you have so much going on in your head, what do you do with that? So getting in touch with that breath, which I call the Ruha breath of life, that was breathed into us, is really crucial. The other thing is, I love this book. I'm reading it. I'm not finished with it, because My Grandmother's Hands. And it talks about how we carry trauma in our bodies. And not just trauma that's happened to us, but generational trauma. And so historical trauma. So you have to find ways to not just do healing psychologically, right? But before we even make decisions psychologically, our bodies are making decisions because trying to keep us safe, right? And so if you're not doing healing based on trauma, my body's making some decisions, especially our young people whose minds are not developed fully yet, right? Before I have even had time to think about it, right? And so if we're not doing that healing work with our bodies, whether that's yoga, whether that's meditation, whether that's exercise, I lost a family member recently, and I learned about it when I was at Selma High, and I had the impulse to throw something, right? But I realized now that I needed a physical release from that trauma, right? And this happened to me several times since. And so our babies are walking around here with all this trauma, and they need a physical release. And so when we've cut back on all the things that have given them access, and I know we're steadily working to bring them back, as parks and services and all of that. But when we don't have the same things that I had growing up to physically release, right? And they play video games more and whatever, the natural ways that we've been given to release, we don't. So we really have to do more things like in school, like yoga, like exercising for us to do that physical healing. I know that was a lot longer than you expected, but I got excited.
That was on point. And let there be peace and let it begin with me. I love
Yes.
that. I love that. Well, we appreciate you guys being our guests today, and I'm excited about what's happening and what's going to happen as it relates to our community coming together and really looking at the power of restorative justice and restorative practices. As we relaunch our strategic plan, we are looking at having a summit later this fall, and definitely invite you two to be a part of it. Definitely as part of that safety and wellness piece, because I do think we need to be holistic when we think about what safety and wellness means within our schools and our community. I have said so many times that our schools are a microcosm of this community. And we cannot separate the two, nor should we try to. And so I'm just so grateful for the work that you all are doing and for the tribe that you are creating and have created and that I'm a part of, okay? Because it matters. You know, we're in this thing together, and I do think that we can change the narrative if we work together. So I want to just—
And I just want to say that the challenges are so great. But you all, the Selma City Schools, you all are doing an amazing job at reaching out, trying to address those challenges in partnership with the community. And I love my superintendent. You are doing an amazing job. The challenges are so amazing. They're so great. But as my dad says, the blessings are greater, and you all are making those blessings come about. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And as we transition, I want to give you guys a chance for any closing remarks. We value our partnership.
Yes.
You know, I love co-chairing the separation design team that's a part of this group, and look forward to working with us more in the future. So any closing remarks as we shift?
I just want to encourage folks to join us tomorrow afternoon. If you have not had an opportunity to participate in one of our restorative circles, then I want to invite you in this moment to the space. Gospel Tabernacle Church. It is located right on Summerfield Road. If you know where McDonald's is, then you know where Gospel Tabernacle Church is. It's right up the block from McDonald's here in Selma. The public is invited. This is a free opportunity to share space, to build relationship, just to really dialogue about the things that are happening in our community and how we can work together to solve those problems. It's a realistic approach, right? Because we can throw out, you know, all of these catchphrases, restorative justice and peace and love, but this is an opportunity to really dig deep, right? This is not a smattering of an opportunity. This is a real way for us to connect and relate to folks so that we can truly create the transformation that our community so desperately needs.
Okay, so is it Gospel Tabernacle tomorrow at what time?
At 3 o'clock. We'll be gathering at 3
tomorrow.
o'clock. Yes. And it is free and open to the public. We invite any and everyone to attend.
Love it.
And one of the things that you'll be able to hear more about if you come is that we're launching peace walks, which are really just opportunities for people to get in the streets, right? Get in the communities, be trained in restorative justice, be trained in nonviolence, conflict reconciliation, and get in the streets. Whether you lead a team of people, 5 to 7 people going out in communities regularly, building relationships, connecting people with resources. You may take a kickball, basketball out there, do some recreational things with people while you're out there, really trying to build relationships and connect people with resources. And so if you're interested in being a part of peace walks, you can either call the Selma Center at 334-526-4539, 334-526-4539, or email mmiles@selmacntr.org. That's MMYLES @selmacntr.org. and especially come to this restorative justice training tomorrow, and start your training process, and let's get some boots on the ground.
I love it. I love it. Let there be peace and let it begin with me. Thank you both so much for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank y'all. Bye-bye.
See you guys next time. That was so amazing. Dr. Williams, you asked about how do we start shifting the narrative, and I said I thought about, or my go-to answer, which is I believe is always action and communication, and they both just left us with a way to become active in restoring Selma. And the restorative justice trainings, the circles, and the peace walks are just some of the ways that now we can all be talk, but move.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because we have to back it up with action. We have to be actionable. You know, I'm really big about what does it look like, you know, because we can say it all day long, but what does it look like? And I do think the peace walks are part of what it can look like. And, you know, we've also talked about taking Talk Soup to a live format to try to get a different level of engagement. So what does that look like?
Well, actually, Doc, it looks like Talk Soup, roundtable Talk Soup. And our goal with that is just to establish a more intimate setting for our parents, guardians, partners, anyone in the community to sit with you, with us, with any of Team Selma to talk about anything on the table, ask the questions, what's happening in the schools, or anything specifically that we may talk about now on Talk Soup. We want to be more intimate. We do value the input of our parents, guardians, and community members. And so this would be one of the ways that we would do that. And so the Talk Soup Roundtable will happen every Wednesday, every first Wednesday of each month. And so our first Talk Soup Roundtable will be August 4th at 8:30. And we'll be sharing some more information before then, including the location and how you can submit potential topics moving forward. But that will be one of the ways. And so you heard it again, Talk Soup Roundtable, the first Wednesday of each month. And this is basically, again, another chat and chew, but we're going to take it away from this virtual space for now. We've been doing virtual for a year and we will continue this way, but there's nothing like having that face-to-face conversation with our partners. And so
yeah, and I look forward to just being able to have a conversation. You know, we talked a little bit about social media and the social media blasts and the negative narratives that are sometimes out there on social media. You know, so I invite people who do have questions and concerns about anything that's happening with Team Selma to definitely participate in our Talk Soup Roundtable. And let's talk about it, you know, because we do need peace in our community and we need to be on one accord. We need to work together for a better Selma. You know, I love the Selma 2.0 idea and the beloved community, but that takes all of us. So, and I do think that Talk Soup Roundtable will be a great start to that. You know, it's a progress, it's a process, and it'll be progress towards that process by doing that. So awesome. So as we wrap up though, we always want to do shout outs and announcements and just let people know what's going on with Team Selma. So what we got, Courtney?
Well, of course, Excel is still happening. Next week is actually our last week, but our scholars have been rocking it. The learning, the enrichment, the field trips, both virtual and in person, have been amazing. And I just want to shout out right now our Excel scholars. Shout out to you guys for doing a great job. I know there's nothing like giving up your summer to learn, but this has been an excellent summer of learning. And for everyone that is working with us, supporting us through Excel, thank you and shout out to you. That includes our teachers, our staff, our CMP staff, our parents, our community partners. Thank you. And most definitely shout out to the Selma Public Library. They were one of our partners for the Excel Summer Learning. Our scholars have been traveling there once a week since we've started to participate in some of their activities. And today our scholars actually participated in the magical poodle show. And I actually went I went to just to get a few pictures, but I ended up staying and I wanted to participate. I'm a dog lover, guys, and so I know.
I thought about Cocoa and Butterscotch when I saw those pictures. You know, I have standard poodles, and
they would love
real poodles. So that's exciting.
Yeah,
Yes, that
scholars
is very
online
exciting.
today was where our Payne and our Clark scholars, and they
Yeah.
really thoroughly enjoyed it. And so shout out to the Selma Public Library. If you don't follow them on Facebook, they are on Facebook. They share out a calendar each week with their activities. Encourage everybody to participate. There's a lot happening. Also, right now I have a few announcements, Doc.
Yes, go for it.
So our online registration is happening now. That's for the 2021-2022 school year. And it's online this year. Everyone, and I repeat, everyone has to register online. That is for new students as well as our returning students. If you're one of our scholars applying for our Saints Virtual Academy, yes, you do also have to register online still. Information was sent out to our student emails last week if you were a returning student, and your email address template is your first name dot last name at students.selmacityschools.org. And again, that's for our returning students, that's your first name dot last name at students@selmacityschools.org. And that was sent to your email. So please log in to check that. And for our new students, there's information that we've shared out. It's on our Facebook page, it's on our social media. I'm sorry, on our website. That's www.selmacityschools.org. It's right there on the homepage for you. You don't have to look, just click on the news link and all of the instructions are there for you as well. And so that's our online registration for the 2021-2022 school year. But of course, if you are applying for Saints Virtual Academy for our scholars grades 6 through 12, where you own your own learning, that applications are still out there. Feel free to register. And if you have any questions, you can contact Ms. Tabitha Rowden at sva@selmacityschools.org. And I know I'm throwing out a lot of email addresses and information, but the best place to get information for Selma City Schools is always our website. And if you're on social media, of course, you can follow our district webpage, our district page, as well as your school's page, and all the information is there for you. We already talked about the Talk Soup Roundtable, but I also wanted to remind everybody that our school supply list and uniform information is also out. Right now, it is still just on social media, but by Friday, a complete list of all our schools will be on our main homepage. But in the meantime, if you want to look onto your school's webpage, they also have it there on our website as well as social media. So you have a bunch of information out there preparing you for the beginning. So
it's a lot, but 'tis the season, right? You know, it's the beginning of July, but we're like midway through summer break, right?
Woo, yeah.
And these next few weeks will be a whirlwind, and we just need to encourage everyone to continue to check websites, social media about upcoming dates, because we need you in our PTO and PTAs. You know, we need you to be a part of the process at your scholar school. And we're going to have some great information again about relaunching our strategic plan and how you can get involved with that as we set the direction for Team Selma as we move forward. And so I am super excited and definitely looking forward to connecting with the community, staying in connect with the community, Team Selma Connected, as we move forward. And as we wrap up this episode, C-Dub, I think we've got a lot to be excited about and a lot to look forward to.
We do.
Yeah.
Team Selma. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we will be doing this weekly. So catch us next week for Talk Soup, and then be on the lookout for our Talk Soup Roundtable coming in the fall.
Absolutely. And our theme is
ready?
One team, one voice, committed to excellence. Yay! And I'm wearing my unapologetically dope shirt because we are still doing our part every day. You know, this pandemic is not over, but we have shifted dope to not just be about the pandemic, but about the community as a whole. So, you know, with everything that we just learned about restorative practices and healing within our community, let's all do our part every day. You know, what can you do to be part of the solution rather than contributing to the trauma and the challenges that we have within our community? So until next time, thank you for joining us for Talk Soup, and we appreciate the support that you have for Team Selma, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, Team Selma.